You shouldn't pursue a career in YouTube. This is why. I know that the dream for a lot of little whippersnappers such as myself that grew up on YouTube was to be a YouTuber. I have been going on YouTube since its inception. I thought it was the greatest thing on earth. I'm 28 years old, which puts me at the cusp of Gen Z millennial. So I've got to see the evolution of this platform over the course of my existence. And it was honestly the dream. I couldn't believe, I was infatuated with movies and such. Eventually I wanted to work in film and all that, right? The infatuation came with the difficulty of the traditional film industry, which I ended up kind of doing things in anyways, but there was something so special about people in their room just grabbing a camera they probably bought on Best Buy or took from a family member or whatever and filming content and able to get tons and tons of views and to get the exposure and to build brands. And then that kind of evolved. So you took the inception of YouTube where it was a bunch of weirdo losers basically in their rooms talking about whatever they were talking about, gave them tons of money and platform. And then you get the influencer era of 2010 to I want to say 2018. And they're making tons of money buying yachts and you get essentially like an influencer culture. When you get influencer culture, I think it just threw everybody onto social media. And then I think it was like wildfire when you have influencer culture, throw in the pandemic where everybody's at home now. So that literally made everybody and their mom want to become a YouTuber and want to make content and do all of that. Once the influencer era combustion happened, that made everybody and their mom want to be a YouTuber. When the platform gets flooded by content creators, first it was with Vine, and so the Vine people could not monetize that properly, so they came onto YouTube. And then there was TikTok, and people were going viral for basically doing nothing. They were just dancing and going viral. And all those people come and they flood onto YouTube. Along with anybody on a phone or whatever, they're able to now create content. Cameras got it super cheap, extremely cheap, I've said multiple times, but you can go to Best Buy and just buy perfectly adequate camera to start making content. Mics got smaller and cheaper, and you could make content with basically anything. So the platforms get flooded. And then let's throw another wrench in the whole content creator economy, YouTuber, whatever. You get AI. And now you have AI slop videos getting thrown onto the platform with everybody and their mom that wants to be an influencer thrown onto the platform, and the shorts economy as well. So now you're competing with shorts, you're competing with a limited amount of space on the homepage, and everybody's views are down across the board. You could even see extremely large YouTubers such as Linus Tech Tips and a bunch of other YouTubers. Look for it, you'll find it. And they're complaining that their views are down and that it's not the same anymore. And even Gary Vee is talking about this phenomenon, if you will. So in my opinion, it is no longer worth it to be a YouTuber unless you're already established or you have a plan. Okay, Cam, so what is the plan? The plan is that you use YouTube to essentially monetize and make sales on a business. That business could be literally anything, whatever it is. If you are, let's say you do pottery, okay? You are only using the platforms not because you are interested in becoming a pottery YouTuber, but because you are interested in using your niche audience to funnel into your pottery shop, your Shopify or whatever. For me, I own a video production company. These videos are all a giant funnel for people to purchase my services in video production. So you need to remove the idea of I'm going to be a content creator or I'm going to be the next Mr. Beast or whatever, right? I still think there's outliers, with everything, there is possibility of doing it still, but it is much harder and the bar is heavier and higher than ever. Since there's also limited amount of space on the platform, there used to be a method that would work, and it was kind of the Mr. Beastification of the platform, right? What a lot of people started doing is you'd get these channels that would essentially copy Mr. Beast and make the same idea and just take my homework, change it up a little bit. That doesn't really work that well anymore, because the algorithm essentially views that as kind of the same video, especially if you're not seeing anything that different in it. What works now, I think, is more volume and super niche approach, because I think the platforms are trying to just curate to individual viewers. They are feeding them topics that are essentially important to them or viable at the time in which they are given it. Does that make sense? So like if you watch Bible videos on Sundays at 3 p.m., that's what you'll be fed at that point in time, right? I think the algorithms are more trying to cater towards individual experiences rather than just a video that is, and I see this in my own feed, is if you watch one video of a topic, let's say that right now I decided that I really wanted to watch videos on a Porsche. My whole feed the following day and the following hours and the following minutes after watching a singular video about a Porsche will be content about Porsches. That means that if you are trying to do videos, it's more of a spray and pray approach now, which it's, you know, to an extent, it's always kind of been that approach. You could even go back to like Casey Neistat. You know, he did the whole uploading daily thing and kind of made that really popular because, you know, if you miss every single shot that you don't take, and if you take more shots, you have more chances of landing the ball in the ring, right? So that's just logic. However, when these top tier YouTubers are saying things like that they don't understand the algorithm, like Casey Neistat recently said, pretty alarming if you're putting all your eggs in the content basket. Now, if you are using it as a funnel and selling something else and selling your brand or services, and as a bonus points, you get an AdSense check every so often. You know, that's kind of just bonus, but it's not the main objective. Like your objective is not, I'm going to be a content creator and that's my full-time shtick, right? In this current niche that I'm in, which is the essentially content about making content or filmmaking space, in my specific niche right now, major channels that I have been following for years, like Peter McKinnon and Maddie Hupoya, they're not getting views. They're getting a fraction of the views that they used to get. In my opinion, that is an alarming sign because that means that subscribers are worthless because they are not shown your content. So you're not relying on the subscribers. How the algorithm seems to work to me, everybody has their different opinion about the algorithm, including people that work at YouTube and at Google, right? The way that it works is it kind of shows your video to a warm audience, and if the warm audience, which will be your subscribers, but whichever select ones the algorithm feels like showing them to, if they don't react a certain way, you don't get thrown into the next pool. That kind of sucks because it really takes, and they're probably doing this intentionally because they don't want creators to have as much power, and they want to be able to control the attention. We are in an attention economy, right? And so they want to be able to control and pull levers as to what retains the audience more rather than keeping the creators. They don't really care. If the goal was mainly to collect subscribers so that you had a little niche audience that would follow you along with whatever you would do, if that's meaningless now, then you aren't able to connect with your audience. You're not able to build something stable that you can rely on. You're not able to cater a community that you can sell them products or that you can test different videos on because you won't even be given the opportunity to test your videos because you won't get shown to these people to begin with. So we are now in an age of just, I think you just have to try the best you can to pick up the crumbs and to try to essentially use it to grow your business. But this whole thing of relying on the algorithm is pretty cooked. I've been seeing a lot of influencers essentially talk about how they don't make enough money off of the creator fund. They don't make enough money off of, I'm pretty sure we're kind of in a recession low-key. And so, because I've seen it a lot with video production, it's like a lot of the brands that were just throwing money at marketing, they're probably throwing money at influencers, they're probably throwing money at all these different ventures, right? A lot of those brands are pulling back their budgets. So I imagine if they were sending you a bunch of things to review in exchange for a couple $1,000s, like all of that is probably dying out, and then that leaves the creator funds, which are pretty butt kiss, and you're just not getting through. It's really difficult to monetize this if you're not able to get any sort of compensation. And yeah, so I think the only approach that works right now, in my opinion, use the small crumbs that YouTube and the platforms give you. Take those small peanuts that you were handed and try to put them into your services. And that's not to say that you shouldn't try to do YouTube, but then that probably means that you need to waste less time on it and waste more time building up your skills and your services, and then use YouTube as like a supplemental funnel, but don't focus your entire energy and everything onto it. But those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think.